Scrooge was the ogre of my family, and the mention of his name cast a dark shadow. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge, a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. And after he changed, people spoke of him that he was a good friend, a good master, a good man, and a good old city, the good old city knew, and the good city and good town and the whole world knew. And it was always said of him that he kept Christmas well, and that if any man possessed the knowledge, may it truly be said of all of us. Scrooge was better than his word, and he did it all, and definitely more. He also did much. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. So people can change. We saw it in the story. And you think, okay, but that's not the Bible. Well, let me tell you something. It's still the gospel from just a different point of view. And yet people change. Go to the gospel. Go to the Bible. And what do you see? You see me. You see Jesus came and he gave me life and he changed me. How many people do you know besides yourself that he came and he changed them? He gave them joy. He gave them hope. He gave them life. He gave them peace. He gave them. That's the gospel. He's the reason. He's the reason. You know, a lot of people celebrate Christmas for a lot of different reasons. For them, it's just a time to give gifts. It's just a time to get together and party. And for some people, it's a time to hook up. It's a time to date. It's a time to maybe get married. I mean, I know there's a lot of weddings during Christmas now. But a lot of people celebrate Christmas for a lot of reasons. Christmas is not meant to be just December 25th. One of the things I love about Scrooge is he talks about, I'm going to keep Christmas all year long. When God really hits him, he talks about that. I'm going to keep Christmas all year long. Christmas isn't just something that we're supposed to pull out of our pocket and say, all right, it's December. I have to be nice to people. But the other months of the year, I can treat everybody like dirt. That's not what it's about. Not at all. Because if we are the reason that he came, then he's the reason we should live. He's the reason why I should live. I should live with kindness in my heart all year round. I should live with grace all year round. I should be a giver all year, not just once a year. He should be my reason that I live all the time. Scrooge was not described as a loving man at all. And yet the reason for this season, the reason for Christmas came for men like Scrooge. The reason that Jesus came was for people like him, which the truth is this, we all are him. To some degree, we all are. You have your Scrooge moments too, admit it. I have mine. Like I said, I had no problem saying I was Mrs. Cratchit this week. I totally felt her. I totally understood her. I was like, wow. It's like the one time when the Lord said, you understand Job's wife. A lot of people pick on Job's wife. But imagine for a minute, Job's wife, everybody talks about, well, Job lost everything. That's why, but he never cursed God. Do you realize his wife lost everything with him? And on top of that, not only did she lose all of her kids and everything that happened during that time, she now had to deal with a sick man. Every woman, put yourself in her shoes for a second. Do you know what it's like to take care of your spouse, your husband, when he's really that sick? It's not fun. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm picking on you a little bit. But, you know, women, we get sick, we have to keep going. Now, some guys, yeah, you do, but sometimes it lays you flat. And I'm sure she had an attitude with him. And she wasn't good to her husband. And I feel bad for her. I do, because people really give her a bad rap, but none of us have ever lost all of our children in one day. And I realized I've given that woman a bad rap, but I don't really have a right to. I mean, I've had some losses, but not at the extreme that woman has. That's why she was crappy. You know, the truth is, we're all Scrooge a little bit. We all have those moments. I'm sure we're a little bit of Mr. Potter and a little bit of the Grinch all wrapped up together. But Jesus came for all those He came for all of it. He came. He came for anyone, whosoever. He came for the whosoevers who would believe on him and trust him and rely on him. Even people who have done you wrong. I think the hardest thing about Christmas, and I've heard these things the past few years, is people who say, well, I'm not going to go to their house because we had this big falling out and all this stuff. Jesus came to teach us forgiveness. Jesus came to teach us to move beyond those things and be willing to give grace to someone who doesn't really deserve it, because neither do we. And yet, those are all the reasons for Christmas. The reason for life, even being worth living, came for sinners like Scrooge and like me and like you. Without Christ, where would we be?